Hi y'all, welcome back to my SaBADDIEcal series. I'm just the princess. I am obviously the star of the show here, so thank you for tuning back in. I'm gonna complain a little bit about my day first before we dive into it because I need to talk about it. I don't know what it is about me, like the second that I write a list of like tasks that I need to do done, I get everything but that stupid list done. I swear to God, it just drives me insane. Cause like, then I'll be like, oh my God, I should do this and I should do that and blah, blah, blah. I get motivation for every single thing that is not written down. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what it is about like the actual writing down process, but I'm just like, don't want to do it. It just seems like it's not my idea anymore. It feels like an obligation and I don't want to do it then. I have like the hardest time trying to stick to a routine. So like I try to figure out ways for myself so that way I can do that, and then I just absolutely like blow it. I don't know, I try so hard. If anyone has any advice on how to stick to a routine, please drop it in the comments. Whatever the most unhinged, crazy kind of recommendations that you have, I will gladly take them because I am also crazy and unhinged. I need it. But I hope you guys have been having a much better day than I have. I'm just gonna get into this first episode. All right, it is just about noon and I'm finally like ready for the day. I don't know, I woke up at like 8:30. I slept like 10 hours. It's just kind of like a slow start to the day and I'm not mad about it. I deserve it. The absolute carnage. This is what we're wearing. Just some like slouched black socks, black skirt, vintage striped shirt, denim jacket. I'm just wearing my same old earrings for right now. I still feel kind of sick. I think that's maybe why I'm not getting like the fullest, craziest start to the day. I'm just so tired. I need to go get a coffee. So we're gonna go to this cafe, Wake and Bake, and try them out, so I'm very excited. Then I go out for the day, and as soon as I leave the Airbnb, I realize that the Icelandic Red Cross is literally like 5 minutes away. And here's some of like the cool stuff that I found, and let me just say, like, incredibly high quality and things like that. The accessories were really cool. So it's kind of hard to find plus size options anywhere in Europe really, but especially I just noticed a bigger deal in Iceland. Hey y'all, I went home and changed almost immediately. I'm pretty sure I accidentally flashed my hoochie coochie. Hey y'all, I went home and changed almost immediately. I'm pretty sure I accidentally flashed my hoochie coochie to an old woman and probably other people, a lot of other people. Honestly, like it felt like the wind wasn't that bad at first, but it really doesn't matter because all the buildings are so tall, so it makes like a little wind tunnel, and definitely floofed up my skirt. I looked really cute. I looked adorable, but it was a pretty poor fashion choice almost immediately. So that's okay. That's all right. I went to Wake and Bake. Let me show you. I got the iced chai at Wake and Bake, which is pretty good. I also got a raspberry scone, which they warmed up for me. All right. Raspberry scone. Put a little Icelandic butter on there. Now we're cooking with oil, baby. That's fire. I need to lock in and get to at least one of these museums, dude. When I was on the way to the Settlement Museum, one of the other secondhand shops that was on my list, the Gyllti Kötturinn, was also right along my walk. So I obviously stopped in there. And I will say that Gyllti Kötturinn is definitely a much more curated experience and the price tag reflects that. Please go here and check out the incredible pieces that they have. Again, there wasn't a lot of plus size options. so I didn't really find anything that was tripping my trigger. There was a lot of cute options, just nothing that necessarily fit me, and any of the accessories that I saw weren't like screaming for me to take home, so I just kind of passed, but I was very grateful for the experience. And then I walked the rest of the way to the Settlement Museum. The reason why I was so excited to go to the Settlement Museum was because the museum itself was built around an archaeological dig site. Basically around the year 2000, they were trying to like build some hotels and stuff, and so they were digging up the ground. While they were digging up the ground, it seemed like they were finding Viking age artifacts, and so they called in, I don't know, some kind of historians and paleontologists. The mayor at the time of Reykjavik was like, yeah, we're gonna take this land and make it a dig site and see what there is. What they found at this dig site, they ultimately uncovered a Viking age longhouse that would have been built around the same time as the founding of the city of Reykjavik, or rather the settlement at that time. I want to establish the reason why I'm nerding out about going to see this. I have 2 bachelor's degrees, one in German language and then the other in I can't even say my degree. The other in humanistic studies with a world history emphasis. The humanistic studies degree is basically a pretentious way of saying that I studied history, culture, anthropology, and philosophy. I interned at the Neville Public Museum in Green Bay. If I wanted to continue museum work, I would have to get my master's in museum studies, and it is very expensive to do that. Even with your master's, it's pretty hard to get into. You have to do a lot of volunteering. It's publicly funded, so there's not a lot of positions to be working at. So, and especially, you know, with this current administration, it's been a little hard for museums and history to be preserved and remembered and recognized accurately, but I digress. So this longhouse could very well be the same longhouse as the person that founded the city of Reykjavik. Around 1874, Ingolfur and his wife, along with his half-brother, they came to Iceland after being exiled. Basically, there was a blood feud. I don't know the exact details, but they got kicked out of, I think it was Norway? Yeah, they got kicked out of Norway. They basically heard about people coming to Iceland, settling along the coast a little bit. A lot of the settlement around the 1800s in Iceland was like Celtic monks. And then once they heard that the Vikings were coming over, they essentially didn't want to be living amongst heathens because Vikings didn't have like an ordained religion. They were pagans. Also, Vikings are kind of known to be violent, so they scooted. They boot scooted buggy, okay? Anyways, Ingolfur, his wife, his brother, they come to Iceland after hearing about it from some fishermen. So they have this kind of like quirky way. Ingolfur was so quirky. But he had this kind of weird way of establishing where he would basically set up his home. Ingolfur threw these 2 high seat pillars over the edge of the boat. Okay, some context. Back in the day, in the Viking era, typically wherever the head of household, so like the man of the house, would sit, there would be 2 large, like, ornamental decorative poles that would be constructed and placed on either side of the head of the seat. It's supposed to look cool, okay? That's basically what it is. It's called, I'm gonna be really brave in trying to pronounce this, Antvies Solur. I think I'm saying it right. Please, people, correct my pronunciation. I did my best. Just because, so Icelandic is like Norse language. Icelandic is basically the same language as what Vikings were speaking. German, Finnish, Norwegian, Swedish, a lot of those languages, they are derived from like a higher Germanic language. However, You know, from being more inland, the languages have evolved more so from hearing other languages and being influenced by those kind of things. Whereas in Iceland, it's an island and it takes a long time to get there, especially by boat, a lot more isolated. So a lot of the Viking language that you would have heard, you can hear today in modern Iceland. Very fascinating phonetically to listen to because, yeah, it's the language that Vikings would have spoke. So these pillars, Ingólfur had thrown over the boat when he got to Iceland, and he said that wherever these two pillars would have landed is where he is going to make his home. 3 years later, he sent out his Celtic slaves to go look for it, and finally they found it in what would now be called Reykjavik. It was named by Ingólfur, and Reykjavik means Smoky Bay. The name Smoky Bay comes from the steam that you would have seen on the geothermal pools that were near Reykjavik. Anyways, archaeology can dig up locations, it can't really dig up names. So this longhouse, it cannot specifically say that it was Ingólfur's, but it can definitely say that it was settled around the same exact time that Ingólfur was coming to settle. So if not him, possibly his brother, or more people that heard about this settlement. They were able to determine that some of the fragments from the northern end of the longhouse, with thanks to carbon dating and things like that, they were able to figure out that it was settled around the time of 871. Give or take 2 or 3 years. This is a quick little wrap up of my day at the Settlement Museum. They had this Viking game that looked like chess, and then they also have this dice game. It kind of reminded me of bar dice, which I learn how to play every single time I play. I went to the Leif Erikson statue and then went down Rainbow Road, and then I saw this really suspicious face. I walked back down to the Harpa where I got lost and traumatized the day before, but these silly little seagulls made up for it. There's the church that was behind Leif Erikson. Oh my god, long walk. And then I walked along the bay and saw the Sun Voyager. I hope you liked the video. I'll see you later. Bye!